Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky. He joins me now. Senator, good to have you back.
Good to be with you. You know what I heard, Governor? We've got the president has assigned 7 security guards to guard the World War II monument. That's 2 more than he sent to Benghazi.
Ooh, good point.
We got more people guarding the World War II monument than we had guarding the ambassador.
And the irony of that, of course, having been there, is that the monument really doesn't have to be protected. It's made of stone and marble, and I don't know that anybody is going to go. And in fact, I'd double dog dare somebody to go in the presence of one of those World War II veterans and to try to do something to that memorial, because wheelchair, walker or not, I think there's some of those guys are still tough old boots, and they'd tear a new one to somebody who tried to do anything to that memorial.
And it's hard to defend because it has no entrance. So we had to have government workers out there spending hours putting up this huge barricade because there is no one entrance to the place. It's an open park. I mean, you can just about walk in and out, a dozen different places, and they had to put up these enormous barricades that must have taken, they probably paid people overtime to go out there and put up a barricade where there is no real entrance or exit to this park.
It doesn't make any sense for those kind of things. Is this being done strictly to try to make the furlough, the partial shutdown, as painful and visible as possible?
It's a show. They're playing a parlor game where they think they can win with a shutdown. Do you know what the official strategy? They're all over TV saying they won't negotiate. So their official strategy for trying to find compromise is not to compromise and not to negotiate.
What are the Republicans willing to do? I mean, I know we've seen the bills come to the House, but is there a point at which Republicans say, we don't have the votes to defund Obamacare, so let's pick another battle that we might be able to win on, like the debt ceiling? Is that in the works?
I think there ultimately is a fallback position. I don't think it's my job, and I don't want the House conservatives to hear me saying what they should do, though. And so I think it's better for them to figure out if there is a resolve, because it really ends up having to be the House sort of decide that. I'll try to defend what the conservatives want to do over there, but they really are going to have to make that decision. Are there some fallback positions? We've fallen back quite a bit. We got all the way down to really just delaying the mandate. There's also some talk of throwing into the mix the medical devices tax. 80 people in the Senate voted to get rid of it, but it was a symbolic vote. So I think on a real line vote, if we had the continuing resolution, had the medical devices tax, there's a pretty good chance something like that would pass over here. I don't know if that's acceptable to a majority on the House side. The other thing I would say, though, is what's probably going to happen today is the House is going to send over funding of the Veterans Affairs, and we're going to see if Harry Reid is really going to strike against and vote against funding, the veterans of foreign wars. And if he does, I'm wondering if public opinion all of a sudden switches on these people who will not negotiate and are unwilling to fund Veterans Affairs.
Well, that'd be one. It'd be very tough to defend on the part of the Senate Democrats, but they seem to be sort of really pretty puffed up with themselves and feeling that they're on the high ground here.
Well, particularly this no negotiation. I just don't know how that's tenable. I don't know how over time they're going to withstand telling the public that, because they're always the ones saying, oh, the Tea Party, they're still calling us anarchists and this, and they're saying unwilling to compromise. Well, compromise means negotiate. They're the ones saying they won't negotiate, and we're the ones that have already offered them 4 different negotiating compromises.
There was clearly some division within the Republicans in the Senate over the way at which Obamacare would be defunded, if possible. Are those divisions still evident? Have they healed? Are they healing? Where would you say things stand among the Republicans?
I think it's interesting. There was a lot written about it and a lot of discussion, and I won't say there wasn't some disunity, but what I would say is that kind of obscures the fact that really the one thing that has united us more than any other issue is our opposition to Obamacare. Everybody in the caucus is for defunding it. Everybody in the caucus voted to defund it. Everybody in the caucus voted against the original inception of Obamacare. Some different on the strategy of how to do it, and we're discovering that in all likelihood we are not going to win the defund battle. In fact, we lost that, and so we have gone to some compromise positions now. But I'm also one who says that the fight in some ways is worth having, because Obamacare is really bad for the country, really bad for poor people, really bad for working class folks. And I think it was good to reignite this debate again. And my prediction is that for the next year, the number one issue is going to be the disaster that is Obamacare, and it's going to be more than glitches. It's going to be a glaring nightmare for a lot of people.
Senator, my great concern was that the Republicans were going to rescue the Democrats from themselves. And I think that if Obamacare goes into effect, as it now has, this next year, they've got to defend it. They own it. Not one Republican has ever voted for it.
I think you have a good point, because the thing is that we are all predicting that they're going to have not just glitches but major problems with this thing. That, part of me says, yep, they want it. They want it so bad they're going to get it, but they're going to have to defend it. And even though we have fought valiantly, they probably are still going to get the majority of it, if not all of it. And you're right, it's theirs. It's their baby. They own it. And when people are waiting in lines and can't get anybody on the phone, see, I've dealt with Medicare for 20 years of my career. You sometimes are on the phone an hour to get someone from Medicare. Obamacare is not going to be any better, and in fact, in many ways, probably will be worse. In my state, we've gone from 30 insurance companies to 2 insurance companies for the exchanges, and one of them your insurance won't work out of the state. How good is your medical care if it doesn't work on vacation or if you travel anywhere?
It's been interesting. The president kept promising, if you like your insurance, you can keep it. Obviously, that's not the case because it doesn't exist like it did anymore. Senator, thanks again. And let me just commend you for not engaging in a lot of the calling Republicans who disagreed with you squishes and rhinos, and you've maintained a very, very statesmanlike approach, and for that I commend you. And thanks for being back.
Thanks, Governor.
Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky joining us here, and when we come back, Congressman Mike Rogers from Michigan. 855-840-4825. This is the Mike Huckabee Show.